Webinar, Get to Know Podio. My name is Liz, and I'll be your moderator today. With me, I have Evan Georges, and Evan is a customer success engineer for Podio and ShareFile, and he's been with Citrix since 2014. Born and raised in Santa Barbara, Evan has worked with Citrix customers like you in technical support and customer success on both the East and the West Coast, and he just relocated to join us right here in Raleigh, North Carolina about a year ago. Evan has 2 kids, ages 5 and 2, and loves traveling with his family. Welcome, Evan.
Great. Thank you very much, Liz.
So during today's webinar, we will be highlighting how you can use Podio with your ShareFile account for project and process management within your business. Podio is really one of our most flexible tools. It allows you to scale lots of different projects, including things like project management, team collaboration, client account management, and really even streamlining internal communications all in one place. And because Podio is so flexible, Evan's going to be reviewing several common ways that our most successful customers use Podio today to really give you a better idea of how you can increase productivity, efficiency, those types of things within your business. So during today's webinar, we would really like to hear from you and would like to include your voice in the conversation today. So please ask questions and share your comments by using the chat or question and answer panel at any time during today's webinar. And in addition, we will be recording today's session and we'll be sharing that recording out with everyone shortly after the conclusion of this webinar. All right, with that, Evan, let's get started.
Great. Thank you very much. So moving over to the slide today, this is going to go over a little bit of the agenda. I'm going to go over more of a high-end overview of some use cases that will utilize the ShareFile platform you guys are currently used to engaging with, but as well with the Podio process management tool and Right Signature, which is a document signing cloud service that Citrix offers as well. So I will be talking through some of the use cases as you guys do see here with the agenda. The first one will be an HR recruitment style process. The second one will be more of a project or task management type flow. And the third one will be a help desk ticketing system.
All right. To kind of help wake everybody up today, we're going to start with a question here. Podio has a number of different functions, and even of the 3 that Evan was just mentioning there, those certainly aren't the only 3 that people can use, but they're just 3 great examples that we're going to discuss today. And for the question today, we're going to focus a little bit more on project management as well. And to really kick us off, I'm curious, how do you currently manage internal projects or processes? Are you in spreadsheet land? Are you using kind of different combinations of software tools? And the answers are flowing in. We've got almost 50% of people voting, and the leader right now is multiple software solutions with about 54% of people voting. Number 2, Evan, is Microsoft Excel or spreadsheets. 9% in email, and sorry guys, I know somebody did say I didn't know we had a process, so I feel you there. It happens.
Yeah, well, just to add to that, sorry, keep going with the stats. I like hearing them.
Yeah, it's holding right there, Evan. Still, we got about 80% of votes in, and number 1 is definitely software. Number 2 is Excel and spreadsheets, and number 3 is in email.
Very nice. Well, just so you guys know, we didn't just randomly come up with these. These are a lot of common, answers that I hear on a day-to-day basis. So, hopefully what we're able to go to today can address alleviating some of those, with email, with communications, with an Excel document. A lot of what we're going to do is more of how to get the process managed in one platform. So really what we're going to see is Podio as a front-end solution for you guys. There will be an integration piece, as you guys see there next to the asterisk on the bottom, which is called GlobalFlow. This is included with the premium tier of Podio. And it's really a back-end provider where everything, all the automations that you see me going through today I built using the tool called GlobalFlow. So the first, I guess, use case I'm going to go through here will be for the HR recruitment. A couple things to highlight, as you see from the bullet points, simple process of tracking job listings. getting requests from interested candidates, making offers, requesting signatures from hires. So as you see, this is already going to be utilizing for the signature portion, the right signature tool, and then securely storing candidate information. So it will actually open up a folder within the ShareFile platform as well. So if we look within the Podio environment, I can see that I will be able to access my HR workspace that I've created. I have users in here, which basically means that myself and these two colleagues are the only members who have access to the information or to manage this flow or process that's going on. What I was able to do, and you'll see with a couple other ones as well, is we do start with a web form. So this is a web-based form that's hooked up directly to one of these apps within Podio. So this would be basically it's tying itself into open positions that we have, which we have managing here within the app. So as somebody who is a candidate interested in a position, I have the ability with this form where I can embed it on a website or I can have a link that I can pass out. It's up for you guys to decide with that. With this information, I'm just able to fill out some context. So let me just add some data here. Oops. I should probably be showing my screen. There we go. So just to start fresh, this would be the dashboard that I was referring to, the apps that I'm managing. So the web form itself, what I'm filling out, again, this can be embedded on your website, or it can have a link that you are passing over to, maybe someone sends an email to you. Hopefully this will be a way of having to get rid of an email process in the first place. So by submitting this, it would come directly into Podio, where I am actually managing the job openings themselves, applicants, applications, current employees, and even interviews. I have full customization, and I actually built all of these apps from scratch by hand, but let me just get this filled out as I'm putting in some information here. As somebody who is interested in the position, these fields, I can make them required. I can add some information here. So once we go ahead and, as I have on here, it's asking me to submit a resume. So I'll just pull a document here from my computer. That one looks great. And I will submit it. So by submitting this form, it will actually take me, as we see, there are notifications happening within Podio. Couple things. I had a task that was assigned to me. It looks like it is a very active platform, so it's going to show you activity and notifications as things happen. So even here on this main home screen, I'm seeing a few things. Something had been assigned to me, so I did receive a notification on it, which I'm able to check here. And it looks like an application assigned a task. So this was one automation that already took place where it's assigning a task for me to review it. I can take a look at the referenced application. As we see, it did a few things. It linked it to a relevant position that I have. If we look here within a different app called Job Openings, I can see who the hiring manager is, what type. Again, these are all fields that I was able to custom add within the flow myself. And I can also see that this job opening now has one application that it's related to. So as I'm in here and I have some tasks that are assigned to me, I will be able to see them and manage them from within my task section. If I, obviously I'm going through these in a fast pace, so in real world there would be some extra processes that you would be doing. If there was a background check, perhaps you would be going through your process of doing that. If you needed to be reviewing the application, you could, look at the resume that they've attached directly here, linked to the Podio item. And then these are the fields that they've selected. So the status is what we can use. Background check, let's just say that it cleared. I can go ahead and push that forward. A couple of new things will happen. It looks like from here we're going to be able to schedule an interview. So a comment was added for us, just letting us know, please schedule an interview on the link below. So by clicking here, it actually created an item in a separate app that I have for interviews. It linked the related position. It linked the related application. So now as a placeholder, there still are a few manual processes. Maybe from here I'd be able to contact the employee themselves, or sorry, the future employee, the candidate themselves, and schedule an appointment here. So I can click into the date and I could say that maybe we agreed on this time between these hours. And Podio actually does have the ability to integrate with a free web-based meeting tool called AppearIn. Another one is a GoToMeeting account. So I actually have GoToMeeting credentials that I can link here directly. And as I see, if I invited my other candidate to this item, they would be essentially shared this item. So they'd be able to view it and we'd be able to join the meeting together at the allotted time. So coming back from here with the position, let's say the interview went well. So the next thing I want to be able to do from here is I want to push it forward and let's get some documents signed from them. So I can move that along. So from here we can see another notification was sent on the item itself, and it was able to create a share file folder. So if we look in my folders, I do have one here for new hires directly. Here was the folder that was just created. So now it's basically a placeholder within my attached share file account for any files that will be coming in later on. So if we check, I'll just jump into email account here. And I can see that I have an email from Right Signature. So this is another one of the services. I can click to sign, so it will open up the document. Please excuse the poor nature of the document. I've just overlaid a couple fields on top. But generally what you're doing with Right Signature is it allows you to pull in a PDF, Word doc, text doc, and you can overlay fields on top. So I have options for the person to fill out their own information. You could have made it a number-specific field if you needed that. You could have made fields required as well. But really, I made one thing required, and that was just for the signature. Again, fully customizable. I'm able to sign it and hit apply and submit this signature. And then you'll notice a few more things happen. So it's executing the sign. Looks like it's sent, and I have some document history here from when it happened, even the IP address of where it happened as well. So as a user, you get all of that information. So if I jump back over, we can see here in Podio, because the document was signed, it attached it here to the item. If we refresh the page, and it added some text just letting me know that that took place. One more task comes in. There's the signed document. Let's say for somebody, I have a task to review the documents for completion. Let's see everything is great. I can go ahead and mark it as complete. Obviously, in the real world, there would be a lot more going on here, but as you guys can imagine, with the automation, it's able to take all of this into consideration. So now, congratulations, email has been sent, file saved within the share file folder. And a few more things happening here as well. So if I back out, we can see that it's actually added this person as an employee in my database now, and some information about the job they have. And it actually also closed the open job. So I had a status in there, and it's now marked as filled. So it will no longer show if we're at this process again. If I back up, that it won't show as an opening on here because I have it to only show open positions, as we see. Last but not least, it automated an email to the person just letting them know, thank you. I'm able to customize the text that's coming from this email. This was just something quick that I typed. And then we can take a look at the related folder within ShareFile, and we can see that the documents that I had were actually pushed into that folder as well. So the signed PDF and the resume that we had for that particular employee. Now, there can be other flows that we can build into this that would say, delete the files if we didn't follow through with somebody. But just so you guys have a good understanding, that's kind of the gist of the process with the HR flow and how it can work together with Right Signature and ShareFile for kind of total collaboration of those platforms. And again, keep in mind that GlobiFlow is where we are building those. The next one that we have is a more project or task management type flow. Keep in mind that I would say all of these processes involve some level of project or task management, and even to an extent something to do with client relations, where within my project management environment you can see it's a similar feel, but it's a different workspace. You can see I have the same people in here, but I could have invited a whole different group or team, and what that means is now these people are focusing on these processes. So for what I've built today,
Can I ask
it's
you
going to
one
be...
question, Evan?
Sure.
Thanks so much. I'm following along with everyone attending today, and just a little clarifying question. So what you're showing us today are a couple of different use cases in which you could use Podio. One example was project and task management, kind of in a generic sense. Another is HR recruitment. But could you orient us a little bit on this screen when you talk about an app and a workspace? What do those mean? How much of that did you have to come up with yourself, and how much of that was something that Podio fed you?
Yeah, definitely. So if we look at it from a structural point, this blue bar is basically kind of my navigation. So I can go. This is tied to my account, linked to my credentials. So what it means is I have an organization that I have purchased licenses for. What we have here is Raise the Bar Industries. Within my organization, I am able to create workspaces. So the idea of a workspace is bringing together a particular group or team and kind of focusing on a unique process. So in a large company, you might see that workspaces might be branched out by different departments. Maybe you have a development team or a help desk team where they need to be focusing on their own individual projects, tasks, whatever you would like to consider it, in a more controlled environment. So as we see, what I am going over today was within an HR workspace. That was the first one that we looked at. This was a workspace that I created. So I'm the administrator of the account. I can have other administrators or just employees of the company. I can give them the ability also to create these workspaces for their teams. You're not paying per workspace. You're actually paying per license that you're allocating. So it's associated to a domain that's linked to your organization. So I'm Evan at Citrix.com. That would mean I'm part of the Citrix organization. This is a dummy account, so it's not really tied to that. But what you see within a workspace as I'm bringing colleagues in, they don't necessarily have to be employees of my company. I can also invite anyone that would be seen as an external user if they're outside of my network. And if it's someone who's yet be added into Podio, I can type in their email address here and it will send them an invite and invite them directly into this particular workspace. So Workspace is kind of similar to a home screen where I have activity of live updates that are going on. I can customize these tiles over here on the right-hand side to have more particular views. So let's say I had a view here for interviews this week, probably encompass interviews that we had set, new applications. So as we have applications that come in, they can be seen here as a dashboard. But as you guys saw, I was able to be notified. So as I click into these are what are considered apps. They're basically, if you think of it like within a file cabinet, it's a folder that's associated with a template that you're able to create. So as we saw within an application, it had specific fields. With applicants, it had specific fields. And from an administrative perspective, I have the ability to come in and customize these fields myself based off of these options. So you're kind of building templates on what you want to use. And then you're able to relate. So I have an applicant, which was an actual person's information that I can tie to this application, the position that they applied for. So I'm now able to then relate based off of their selections an item from some other app. So an item would be like considered, this application is one item in the applications app. So if we look at the project management process, it's just an entirely different workspace that I had created, and it has different apps. I can bring other members in here as well and invite them in. And the idea of why we would be in this workspace is that, we are the only people within the company or the team that need to be focusing on this work. Part of the flexibility of the automation, though, is something that I do here, just as you've seen the automations in my previous example, could speak to one of these apps, let's say, in a different workspace. So maybe when I, complete a project, I have a workspace for my finance team where it creates something to generate an invoice, let's say. It would have the flexibility to do that.
Got it. That's a huge help, Evan. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. All right. So with this space, as we mentioned, as you guys can see on, let me just pull up the slide so we can go over some bullet points that we have on here. So what we're looking at for the project management space is we're looking to, simplify project requests. It's going to have an intake form as well. Let's say that you have clients or, client for you guys could be an internal team from your company that you're doing work for, or it could be an actual customer of yours that would be seen as an external member. You guys are familiar with these as, employee or client users within your folder structure. So we're able to protect information within ShareFile of looping it in, again, creating a ShareFile folder, collaborating with clients within a designated Podio workspace, and we will see that where we can manage notifications, requests, comments, etc. So let me jump back over into Podio here for you guys. This one as well does start with a web form. You don't necessarily have to start with a web form. So again, as I mentioned, a web form is directly tied to a Podio app. It's directly tied to this app that I have called Project Requests. And what that means is I just added templates into that field, and I have the option as an administrator to click into this wrench icon here and select web form. It actually lets me configure which fields from my app I want to be seen on this form. This is where I can get the code to also embed it on my web page. So let me just get this filled out for you guys. I can choose if I'm a returning client, so it's tying in, or if I'm a new one, I can fill out some information. Again, it's all customizable how you want this to look. So I'm just filling out options. This is basically things that I had preset. So if I'm putting in some information about what I want and when do I need it by, these fields are unique, and I can attach some files. Let's say that I have some graphics that I want my team to work on. All right, so we can submit this. And again, as we know, we will see some activity happening as we have notifications here popping up on the screen. You do have the ability to control your notifications within Podio and even through the automation. So within Podio, you will get notified up here if something is directly related to you. So I can see that a task has been assigned to me for this request. So as we access this task, I can see what it's referencing. So review this incoming request. So this was the information that you guys saw that I filled out, pulled in the file as well. So I can mark this as complete and move it along to approve it. If we also jump into my dummy email account, we should also see, I should have, maybe I need to put a different email address in there. Give me 1 second. Well, either way, there will be an email. I probably just didn't complete that item myself. Of course. Well, either way, it would have sent me an email from that point. I just had the wrong account selected. But either way, so if we look at this, I can come in and I can mark it as approved. So again, more automations are happening here. So let's say within our style of creative management that we have different rounds or creative briefs that are taking place. So what we have here is it's now created a project based off of this, as I see in this activity. So one of the great features as well that I would like to highlight about each of these items in Podio is that every item is going to have its own activity section, and each item as well is going to have the ability from here, from when you see updates as they happen, but you can also add comments live. So if you're chatting with your colleagues, you guys will see these. You have the ability to what's considered at mention, so I can actually single out one of the members from my team, and they would be notified of this directly with a notification to look at this item itself. But as we move along, we can take a look here. We can see that within the Campaigns and Projects app, it's now created an item. It's linked my client to it. It's added a project manager, a deadline. It's even linked the request and pushed the file along that they had. It looks like it also created a share file folder. So same idea here as you guys experienced before. It created a folder here in my account. I'm able to customize the name. I had it just based off of the project name and the company name that I had applied. So let's say from here I'm ready to get started. Again, these are categories that I'm able to customize, and I'm able to build logic based off of what these categories can do. So by selecting this, it added a comment that the project had been initiated, and it looks like it was able to create the first round of creative that I had been assigned to. So from here, I can see that I have my file structure set. I have the ability to link if I want to replace this file. I can pull files directly from my hard drive, as you guys see, or I have my share file account linked. So it will actually let me access my own folder structure and pull files from within, whether they be shared folders or personal folders that you have. You can take a file from there and move it along. So let's say within this process I had it that this person is the first one that needs to review it. We can be adding comments back and forth as we go along here. And let's say that we're going to go ahead and mark this as approved. We're ready for the second round. It will be updating the project as we see. Again, keep in mind that this would be a process that would probably take days or weeks. But as we see, the activity is actually being updated. So what you guys see that I keep clicking on, these are reference badges. So what they mean is it's through a relation. So this is tying, as you saw, to a client. If I click here, it will take me to a representation of who the client is. Let me just add this email here just for the fun of it. And I can see when I look back at the client, I can see what they've been linked to. So this client themselves has been referenced now on 2 projects and 1 incoming request. This was one from earlier, as you guys saw, but this is the request that we're on. I can also see when I'm looking at this round, you're building essentially a hierarchy of how your flow is going to be driven. So I can see that I have round 1, round 2 has been created. There was a different person assigned to it, so this version of me, obviously all 3 of the accounts are me, would receive a notification, and from their account they would be able to come in, because it was someone different last time. The files do get pushed along. Maybe I want to add a different file this time. Again, I could pull it from my share file account or from my hard drive. If you guys are working on graphics or banners or even just copy content, it doesn't necessarily need to be an image. It can be any type of file. We can go through, mark it as approved. So again, it's just really pushing everything along as we go, getting it to the next stage within the process. So let's just say that we have been collaborating. I'm bringing in some people. It's assigned to me. A lot of changes are happening. So now it looks like some more fields have been opened up. It's been pushing the files along. We can look back at the related project itself, and it's actually updated it to phase 2. And it looks like it changed the person responsible, and it actually @mentioned them to let them know. So please review the final round. So by clicking here, it will take me into the final round of the creative, and it looks like a new status opened up. So you can actually have fields be hidden until a certain time. So through this automation, I had this field pop up for manager approval status in this round. So I can look at the files, add notes, comment however I need. And let's say that I went ahead and I was able to approve this. So next stages, it needs to be passed on to legal, manager approved. We can see if we look at the request itself that it did notify us of that, and it assigned me a task. So I can see that there's a legal review. Ideally, we would have had this assigned to somebody from the legal team where they can review the files and kind of manage it from there. It's the same feel where they will have a task. And as I push this along again, we will see it will update files stored in the share file folder as I was able to comment. And we can look back at the project. It has been marked as complete. So a few things to look into here. If we go into the email that I was able to correct, as you guys can see, it did send me an email. It took my name, parsed it into just the first name, not the last name. Again, part of the automation, you have the ability to control that, and it customized an email for me. So jumping back into here, the last thing that we need to look into is the folder structure. Yes.
This is great, and again, I'm just going to come in here a little bit in response to a couple of questions that have come through. I think what you're showing us here is awesome. Thank you so much. And just for our customers on the line, if you're asking questions about complexity, you know, what Evan is sharing with us today is an example of a more advanced project management tool, or example, in which case he's got a number of maybe approvers and different offices. He has a number of clients and or employees, and he's firing off a number of integrations. This is really an example of, with a tool as flexible as Podio, the full breadth of how much you could be able to do and automate and build yourself. And it's really, really customizable to your business. I can speak from personal experience that there are also simpler use cases where it's more like task management. We use this within my team on a daily basis where we might be processing something like, hey, can I get some help writing an email? Or hey, can I get some help building an image, where it might just be 2 people collaborating together. It's all on one page. There's not a whole lot to it. So it's just a kind of a good example here as just a reminder that this is all customizable. It's designed with flexibility in mind, so you could really build highly complex multi-user project management examples for larger businesses or more global businesses. At the same time, if you're kind of all in one building and one space and it's maybe a smaller team, there are some really simple examples of this as well.
Yes, definitely. It's good that you mentioned that. I'll tell you guys, for me, it's actually more of a challenge to go over it at a high level. I'm used to doing you know, walkthroughs from the beginning and getting people ramped up and started. But yes, please keep in mind that this is a more advanced side. We do have, you know, onboarding teams and customer success teams like myself that are able to kind of facilitate with trainings and help you guys feel more acclimated to the platform. You know, I have been doing this for about a year and a half, and I've worked with customers from all backgrounds, I guess you can say. And obviously the goal is starting small, learning about apps. But what we do see here, even from my administrative side, if I was starting from scratch, I have the ability to create my own apps, but we do actually have something that might be useful for you guys, which is called the app market. So again, keep in mind, these are just templates. They're nothing that you're paying for. It's just ideas. So we have the way that you can search by functionality and or industry. So if you find something that interests you, we have individual apps or what are seen as packs of apps. So they're like ways of getting started. As you guys saw, I was able to modify them. So if I was from human resources, I could take a look here, and I can see that a simple recruitment pack of apps. If I look into this for some more information, it will explain. It looks like the Podio team made this. These are the apps, and these are the information if I look into each one on what it does, even entailing some screenshots. So with this and some other resources, it is pretty simple to get started. What I did would take a little bit of time to create. It's just within these apps, you're able to kind of now imagine almost like a flowchart type feel where, something starts somewhere. Like as you guys saw within my initial process, a request comes in. With that request, what do I need? I need to assign a task to somebody. I need to send something for signature. And that's really where this platform, GlobyFlow, comes in. Our help center is actually really useful if you guys do want to check that out. It's just help.podio.com. And you can actually find a lot of good tutorials and training resources on there, and even some already built webinars that are use case specific. But yeah, this definitely will be more of a high level overview, but just keep in mind it can be as simple as you guys want with just a few apps that you're utilizing. All right. So with that being said, let me jump back over to the slide. So you guys can see here, the last use case I want to go over is a Helpdesk ticketing system. This one is going to be a little more simplified, and I'll try to explain through the process as much as I can here. So some highlights, it's able to customize the way your ticketing works. Again, we will be utilizing a web form that will be tied to one of my apps. So as customers, clients, whether it's someone internal, external, you guys all have uses where you might need support. Maybe it's something with a website that's being down. Maybe it's someone just has a request for assistance on a platform or a job or whatever it might be. We're able to highlight priority levels, set permissions, and send automated updates to people as we go. So this will be kind of a one-stop shop. So as we jump back into my screen here, again, we're going to see it is a different workspace that I have in my environment that I've titled Helpdesk. I had invited the same 3 people in here, but again, keep in mind that I could invite anyone from my team who would be managing the tickets. So the web form itself is tied directly to this app that I created called Tickets. If we look into the back end, just to give you guys a little bit of heads up on how this app was built, I was able to just say, a text field is something that I can type text into. Phone field is specific for phone numbers. And as I've associated a web form with it, you guys will see that these are those fields just in more external facing. So maybe let's just say, I'll just call this platform error test. My name, I'll use this test variation of my name. So I'm filling this out on behalf of a customer. I did give them the ability to fill out their own priority level. Again, this is just what would be seen in Podio as what's called a category field. So you can make these categories yourself. I just called them 1, 2, 3, 4. Could very much be hot, cold, or it could also be something that's not shown. So I'll just go ahead and choose this. It's a major issue. And let's just say the date I discovered it was here. I can paste any relevant links or any screenshots or attachments. So let's just say from here I will pull in a screenshot that I found. And let's do that one. That one looks nicer. And I'll submit it. So you don't necessarily need to have the web form be the start of your process. I think it's just good to highlight that it is a very functional and useful tool. But I could very much just come into this app myself and hit this add ticket. So as I click between any of these apps, it's very useful because I can just go ahead and manually add items myself as an actual Podio user. So we can see there are a few apps even in this environment. I have something that are known bugs. So again, another app that I had created where let's just see. It looks like we have a known bug, an active bug. If for a pixel issue on the home page. I actually built an app here for a knowledge base, so if we do have people that are new to the support team, they can look through this app and let's just say I can click into this item that's called filtering items in Podio. I just added a description that I can filter through and a link that they can click into. So maybe if it's someone's first time doing support for us, they can look through our own knowledge base, which is just a separate app within, and see if there's any processes that they can utilize. So I don't need to be jumping through other platforms. It's all kind of a one-stop shop. You can also see I was able to customize a message to anyone that's in here within these tiles. So you'll be notified if I want to write back to the recipient of the ticket. So let's take a look here. Ticket comes in. I see website error. It linked my customer. So something that was really cool about this automation is it actually looked to see if this customer had submitted a ticket before, which they had. So it didn't create a duplicate entry for this person. Through the automation, I was able to just notice that this person already existed as a returning customer, and it was able to then link them to this ticket that I had created. It says high level concern because it's at a level 4. Let's just say that I have a task that was automated here for somebody to confirm the priority level. Let's say by looking into this, I can confirm otherwise. I have the ability to adjust this if I need to. So next stage that we have here is along the process, it's great to notify your team. So as you guys saw, I was able to then create an email that will kind of correspond with every bit of action that I do here. So moving it along, let's say to in review, it's taking the next stage for us. This just means that we're going to look further into the ticket submission. We will see that emails will be following, just letting us know. Monitor your ticket. It put the name of the actual representative. Automation station is just the name of the account that I'm using. This would usually be tied to a Podio user, or as it could be, a user on your account, so it would actually be their first and last name. My normal account is Evan George's. As I move it along, let's just say that, as part of the email, the customer, feel free to reply back. So let's say as a customer, I want to be able to reply back to this ticket and send that in. So by doing so, I can just go ahead and reply back as the instructions said. And it looks like it came back in here as a comment that said reply from customer, thank you. So earlier on my notes, I had defined if I was able to type note : space, whatever the text that comes out. Again, another automation that you can build into the tool is that it can take this text and reply back to the customer with that. So you don't actually need to be engaging through them on your email tool. It's actually directly coming from here within Podio. So we can see the update came from here. So let's jump back in. Let's just say that we have escalated this ticket up. It's going to assign it to somebody else. It will send the person an email as well. And let's say through the completion process, we are able to complete the ticket. So things to take out of here are that you can be communicating back and forth with the customer. So if you do need more information, you can just type it here. You don't have to go out of any platform. If you need to loop in a developer or someone else from your team, as you guys see here as well, the activity is where you want to go. If I want to look into this ticket later on or look into this issue, I have the ability of clicking into this app in Podio. And Podio, you have the ability to search within your apps. It's contextual based. So if I click this question mark icon, I can come in and I can look at, let's just say, if I start typing that in, let's say that there were thousands of items in here over the lifetime, that it would show that. So pretty cool feature that it has, that it's able to allow for the automation. And just something that, don't get too afraid of what this is, because we do have teams that can help you guys get ramped up and onboarded and understanding how to use this. We also have paid services where they can fully build this stuff out for you, and Podio does have an open source API, so it can connect to any other platform, as you guys saw. So let's jump back into the slides. There was one more thing I wanted to mention that I think would be really useful for you guys, that with your ShareFile accounts, there is the ability to utilize or leverage single sign-on with Podio. And the way that this would work is you would have to access Podio for the first time. But just a little bit of background, obviously, is it's for enhanced security features. You guys might be used to one login already if you're using Share Connect or Right Signature. Same thing applies with Podio, where you can control settings from within your ShareFile account. If you guys are admins, where I can control, let's just say permissions as far as password requirements, if I want to enable two-step verification, and what it would look at would be people that I actually have as employees in my network. So the way that this would work is if you visit podio.com, you will be able to, if I log out here, sign in with ShareFile. And what it would ask for would be your ShareFile credentials. For the first time, so Podio runs off of what's considered kind of a freemium model. What that means is that you can use the tool without paying for it. You just don't have a lot of automation abilities, and there's a lot of limitations kind of with user management where you have, I think it's only 5 users that you can add. But just to let you guys know, once you do this, it will set you up with an environment to test. So as I log in, should be logging me in, so we can see it set me up with a free account. So something that's different from this single sign-on field from what I was doing was just a normal Podio account that I signed up from just Podio itself. I don't have it tied in. So we can see that I don't have the ability to add other organizations to here. We can see that it actually sets you up with a couple apps to test out, and it actually links your ShareFile account to it directly. So if I was to be working out of my client's
Evan,
app, or if I, yes.
would you mind sharing your screen real fast just so everyone can see what you're showing?
Yes. The old screen share. All right, so jumping back into it, just to kind of simplify, what I was doing while I was talking through this the whole time was I had signed out of my account, and I just went to podio.com, and it gave me the ability to sign in with ShareFile is essentially what happened. So what I did from there was I was able to enter my ShareFile credentials. And it will go through verification. Luckily, a lot of the things I was saying you didn't need to be seeing with you know, the freemium and settings that you guys are used to within your own ShareFile account of, you know, updating you know, privileges for passwords or accessing two-step verification or things like that. But as we see, it did set me up here with an organization that I can now start. If I wanted to pay and get something like the premium service, I could hit this upgrade button, and there will take you directly to a form where then you can get reached out by someone from the team who can give you a more formal demonstration. The next thing as well, it instantly ties your Podio account, your ShareFile account, and sets you up with some test workspaces to work out of. So as I see here, it set me up with a couple apps, so simple project management. If I go here into invite, I can actually see if I click here, it will open up and give me a list of my existing ShareFile users. So users on my ShareFile account who I can invite into this here as well. So I can hit done, it will bring them in, give them different roles that I want them to be in this feature, and add them. So that is a great feature that you guys can leverage as well with Podio, is that, you know, you don't have to worry about jumping in between a lot of hoops to get into this account. It can be accessed directly from the same credentials that you are using with ShareFile, just to kind of wrap up the whole process flow of, you know, this cloud solution that we have. So I think with that, we can jump into questions because I'm sure that you guys have a lot of them.
Great. Thanks so much, Evan. And yes, thank you everyone for being so engaged throughout this webinar. We did get a number of questions. So thank you guys all for your engagement. We have just a couple of minutes here until the top of our webinar, and wanted to be mindful of your time and how much you agreed to be with us. So just as a little recap, if we didn't get to your question today, we will follow up and get to it after today's session. To several of you, Evan, there were a number of questions that came in around, you know, wow, Podio is so flexible, we can use it in so many different use cases. Lots of questions about how to use it as a CRM tool with client management, as well as how to use it maybe in a tax setting for accountants. To our folks on the phone, if you would like to work with us to brainstorm a few of those ideas, we'd be happy to show you what those look like live. Just go ahead and enter into the chat box now. Hi, I'd like to explore a little bit more about my personal examples. We'd be happy to jump on the phone, talk to you a little bit more, and we've got some more models of this that we could spin up for you in a one-on-one setting. So go ahead and type into the Q&A section and we'll be happy to reach out for that. We've probably got time for one more question, and Evan, the biggest one that may have come up across folks was a general question around integrations. It looks like Podio offers a lot of tools within that, but we mentioned, integrating into ShareFile, integrating into Write Signature, integrating in via other third-party tools. Can you just speak a little bit to the API of Podio and just generally about its flexibility and what it works with?
Yeah, definitely. So as I mentioned, Podio does have a completely programmable interface. The way that it was able to connect with ShareFile, ShareFile does have its own API as well. The integration tool GlobyFlow was actually built completely off of Podio's API. So basically, it's exposed for customers to use. You can build your own applications, or you can tie them to existing applications. With what you're really doing is registering what are considered webhooks. And we do have some sensible rate limits in place. So we have a site which is developers.podio.com that you guys can access if you have the ability or developer resources that can do that. I don't mean to name drop a search tool, but I actually Google a lot whenever I have questions. That we don't actually build a lot of these integrations because our platform is open. We allow, there's many integrations out there. If it's something with another tool like Smart Gantt, which allows you for more Gantt-style solutions, or even custom building one into your own platform that you guys might have had custom made for you if it is something more in accounting or legal. We have development resources that can assist you with the build-out. But if I ever have a question about if something actually connects with Podio or if it's been built, really it's just, will the other platform, does it have an API that can be linked? Because Podio, there's no limitations from those regards.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Evan. That's a great answer, and I think a great kind of transition here into the end of our webinar. Thank you all again for attending so much, and again, if we didn't get to your question, we will definitely follow up afterwards. Similarly, we will also be sending you a copy of today's recording, so stay tuned to your email. You'll see that coming through within the next day or so. I hope everyone was able to learn a little bit more about Podio today, its flexibility, and just a few examples of general use cases. We looked at project management, team collaboration, and some internal communications today for HR. Just a quick reminder that we do have more webinars coming up in April. There are 2 more on the horizon here. One is another deep dive on staying connected in the cloud, and that's talking a lot about your ShareFile account and how you can work with things like e-signatures and remote access and tagging that in and kind of building one collaboration space in the Citrix Cloud. And there'll be another webinar at the end of the month on how to best design your existing ShareFile account for team collaboration. And so that's all talking about the tools that you're using today that you already have in your account. We'll be talking about best practices as administrators to set up permissions and kind of folder structures, that type of thing for team collaboration. We would love to see you again. To sign up for those, you can stay tuned for an email invitation. You can also go to sharefile.com/support, sharefile.com/support. And I'll put that in the chat box now and click on Masterclass Webinars. All of those registrations are on there now. That's sharefile.com/support. Click on Masterclass Webinars, and we hope to see you again. Thank you so much, Evan, for your expertise today, and again, everyone else for your participation. Until next time, have a wonderful day.